Hey guys, so this is my review for Vampire Diaries, episode 16, 1912. So let's get on with it. So the episode starts off it is a flashback episode. It's not my favorite flashback. I would just like to say that I thought it was good. But with the hype around it, I kind of felt like it was going to be like really good. But I thought it was good. It was okay, but I just didn't. It wasn't my favorite flashback, and I love flashbacks, but it's not my favorite. I didn't hate it, but I think it was like a filler episode, but they tried to jazz it up with a flashback episode, and which is okay. I mean, it was a very obvious filler episode. I think they just wanted to get it was about the murders for Mystic Falls, so I think it's just a filler to what's to come. Anyway. So so the episode starts and we're introduced to Zachariah Salvatore, who we later find out is, I guess, Damon and Stefan's half-sibling. Their father had sex with a maid during the Civil War. And since everyone thought that Stefan and Damon were dead, that the name had to go somewhere, so they gave it to him. So, so that's that. And basically... Zachariah and Sheriff Forbes at that time are discussing, or they're just leaving a meeting, discussing the murder of the recent founding family member. And Zachariah is leaving, and he's walking down the street. Then all of a sudden, boom! He gets stabbed by an unknown assailant, and then the scene cuts. And we go to Forbes and Mrs. Lockwood, and Mrs. Lockwood is blaming Sir Forbes for. Sorry, why do I have to have the hiccups right now? And Sir Forbes is basically no. Mrs. Lockwood is saying that Mrs. Forbes is keeping information away from her, and saying that if she knows who did the murders, then she should say something. And Mrs. Forbes is like, well, I don't want to blame people who didn't do it, which is very, valiant of her to do. So, yeah. And then we see Alaric waking up in a jail cell, and apparently Meredith is blaming him for the deaths of the medical examiner. Sorry, I forgot his name. Caroline's father, and, and then she states that he was coming at her with a knife, which of course Alaric follows up with, well, I found the knife in her thing, so she's obviously setting me up. And Damon agrees, and he's like, well, don't forget that he's actually one of the victims. And Mrs. Forbes is like, well, I can't say anything yet, but Mrs. Fell, since she is a very highly respected member of the town, we can't discredit what she's saying, because she is pointing a very long finger, and what she says is really rather important. So Damon wants to be involved, and Mrs. Forbes is like, well, no, you can't, don't make me put you in the cell with him. And in my head, I'm thinking, well, he could just break out, can't he? He's a vampire. He can just break the bars and run out, He can snap your neck before you even pick up the keys to unlock the cell to put him in there, so be quiet. Then we see Matt and Elena running down the street, and she learns that Bonnie's mother, Abigail, has decided to continue on with the transition into becoming a vampire, and that Caroline is going to help her with her bloodlust and teach her what to do. And Bonnie doesn't blame Elena, but in my opinion, I don't really believe that, because from what I've seen of Bonnie's character, she blames a lot of people for everything. Basically, she blames everybody for everything bad that happens to her. So it's not in her character to not blame other people. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? That was weird. Sorry, reading my notes. So Damon goes back to the Salvatore house, and Stefan is writing in his journal, "Dear Diary, this chipmunk asked me my name today. I told him it was Joe. That lie will haunt me forever. Love that line. I died. So, and Damon tells Stefan that he wants to solve the murder that has been going on in Mystic Falls because he wants to help Alaric and everything. So he's rifling through Stefan's journals, and he finds the one marked 1912 because everyone has journals marked by the year. At least I do. Not. Anyway, so Damon picks up the journals and he says, well, let's research, because the last time, apparently 100 years before this, similar murders were happening concerning the founding families back in 1912, and so obviously there is a connection there. And talk about a town that repeats itself, you know, same thing is happening again. So we go back, so 1912, it's been 50 years since Damon and Stefan have seen each other, and they haven't, you know, since they became vampires, and they just have they don't like each other, obviously, you know, so, of course, so I guess Damon believes that if, by looking in these journals, that this is going to give them the answer to what is going on. So they decide to go to the Mystic Bar to have this discussion because, you know, everyone wants to have a discussion about a murder in a public place. So they go there, and then we see Rebecca talking to Mrs. Lockwood about trees. Of course, she's trying to figure out where the white oak tree is so she can destroy it so that her and Klaus will remain vampires and not be killed by their mother, who has a death wish for her children. So and then we then learn that the lumber yards were owned by the Salvatore brothers. So Rebecca's like, ooh, I need to find out find out more about this. So she immediately is immediately with Damon and Stefan as they're talking about the murders that have been occurring. And to be perfectly honest, I didn't understand. I don't really feel like she should have been in the episode. I'm sorry. I love Rebecca. I love Claire Holt. She is amazing, and Rebecca is awesome. But at the same time, I just felt like she was just a filler character, like just to have her. She just felt like she was there. It didn't really serve a purpose besides finding out where the white oak tree was. And I think that storyline could have happened like in the next episode. Not really. I don't know, I just didn't feel like she should have been there, or just, I don't know, it just felt weird having her there. But that's just my opinion, and I'm from what I can see on Tumblr, a lot of people feel that way, like, what's the point of having Rebecca there if she just felt like she was there. And I don't like when characters I like are just there just to be there, you know, just as a filler, and I hate that. I hate when, you know, they're just there just because, you know, we can, you know. They're just written into the scene just because we can write them into the scene, and that's what it felt like to me. So Stefan and Damon are discussing the murders that happened back in 1912, and Stefan immediately thinks, well, maybe Sage did it. Because I guess, like, they felt that, well, maybe a vampire did it, because this sounds like a vampire has done it, because because they don't remember who has, you know, who kills the people, or like, because Alaric doesn't remember who tried to kill him, and Caroline's father didn't remember who his assailant was either. So obviously it's a vampire, and Sage was the only other vampire in Mystic Falls during that time. Now Sage, we soon learn, is, I guess, showed Damon what it's like to be like the positives of being a vampire. She is his Lexi. I guess that's what Ian Somerhalder has dubbed her as. She taught him the pleasures of being a vampire. It's not all about bloodlust and feeding and surviving and living for all eternity. You know, delve into the pleasures of being a vampire. You know, it's not just all about bloodlust. So she basically showed him how to be like the seductive, sarcastic, amazing, badass Damon that we loved in season 1. So, So basically, they believe that that could have been Sage, and then we suddenly learned that I guess Sage had a thing for Finn, which was rather interesting, but it was just weird. I was just like, really? What? You know, that's interesting, but whatever. So Damon and Stefan are still talking. So Damon and Stefan then figure out, well, maybe it couldn't have been Sage. Maybe it was someone. Wait, I'm getting off track. Oh, Elena and Meredith. I'm sorry, I'm just getting off track. Elena and Meredith's little discussion, I didn't really pay attention because the whole time I was yelling at my TV. I'm like, you did it, you're setting him up, how dare you? But at the same time, the fact that Alaric has, you know, lapses, has been having lapses in memory, and he doesn't remember certain periods of time, and those periods of time kind of coincide with the murders that have been happening. Part of me was just like, no, we didn't do it, and then another part of me was like maybe he had something to do with it, who knows? So Elena and Meredith's argument I didn't really listen to, but I don't think it was that important, in my opinion. I was just too busy yelling at the TV, which is a bad thing, but Elena takes it upon herself to prove that Alaric didn't do this, which is, you know, which is a good thing. So she asks Matt to help her break into Meredith's house, and we find in her little storage thing in her closet, because she's a founding family member, I guess all founding family members have little hollowed out places in their closets to store things. So we find that she has files on the medical examiner, sorry I forgot his name, Caroline's father, and Alaric, of course. So she basically has files on everything that you could possibly think of about Alaric, you know, his court records, his, you know, everything. And then we find out that she also has a Gilbert journal, which is really odd and really suspicious in my opinion. I want to know how she got that journal to begin with, because it's a Gilbert journal and she is a fel. There really shouldn't be a reason for her to have that journal. So they found that journal, and then Matt finds this paper from the coroner's office stating that the time of death, that for the time that Caroline's father was killed, or something like that, was different from what they've heard previously. And when he's discovered that, we hear the door being opened, and it's Meredith coming back home. So they quickly hide in the closet, and of course we think that, oh, she's gone, but nope, they get caught, and that's very obvious. They usually always get caught most of the time, except for when Elena is checking up on Stefan when Stefan is with Klaus. That was really, I didn't understand like that. Like how did she not get caught? I mean, he's a vampire. He would be able to hear her heartbeat, and can't you like smell her? You know, like that she's a human or whatever. You know what I mean? But whatever. I digress. So Elena and Matt are taken to Sarah Forbes' office, and then we learn that Meredith just went to Sarah Forbes to give her the coroner's report that they found in her house, stating that Alaric couldn't have done what she blamed him for, and that was really, and I'm just like, well, God, that's so suspicious. Why would you blame someone and then quickly deny that they did it? Like, that's really suspicious. So they are asked to leave, and so they do, and at the same time Damon is trying to show Stefan that, you know, or basically telling Stefan that I will help you with your bloodlust towards humans, and basically help him to control it. And I think that's a really good thing. I mean, I think Damon would be able to help Stefan in his, you know, quest to try and, you know, be able to drink from humans and not rip them apart and be a ripper, even though I love ripper Stefan. I'm sorry, I'm not cool like Joseph Morgan. I can't say it cool. I don't have a cool accent, so ripper. Real ripper. I know. Sorry, I love that. I love when Joseph Morgan says that. And love, I love when he says like good morning love, or mate or something. I just love Joseph Morgan in general. So Damon decides to take Stefan outside from the Mystic Girl, and he compels a girl and basically forces Stefan. Well, doesn't really force him, but just says, "Hey, you should just drink from her. Okay, you need to drink from her. You know, because this whole episode he's been like doing that, like, you know, like tapping his fingers on, like, you know what I mean." I didn't understand that when Ian mentioned that at Pallyfest. I'm like, what do you mean he does this a lot? And I'm like, I was so confused, but then I thought about, and then obviously I'm like, oh, that's why. So, Stefan drinks from the girl, and Elena and Matt walk up just as this is occurring, and, you know, what do you expect? And Elena's reaction was, I don't think it was needed. I didn't understand, like, her shocked face. Like, she was like, oh, she was honestly surprised that Stefan did this. And I didn't get why she did that, because she's known for a while now that Stefan is like this and that he drinks human blood. So I don't understand why she did that, had that kind of, like, reaction. And I'm just like, really, it just felt a little too over the top. Not over the top, but just like unneeded. Like, yes, you can be shocked, but she was honestly, it was like she had just, you know, just seen Bigfoot or something. She was like, oh my god, you know. And I'm like, dude, you've known for like how many episodes now? You know he drinks blood from humans. No, he doesn't drink from little bunnies named Thumper anymore. He drinks from living, breathing human beings. So calm your tits, girl. And so Stefan is immediately like, oh my god, she saw me drink from human blood. So immediately he's just like, he runs off and you know, is a pussy and blah blah blah. And the conversation between Matt and Elena, I thought was really interesting. The fact that she says that the fact that she likes Stefan or is with Stefan is because he can never die, because her parents died, and I don't think that's a basis for a relationship. And the fact that she admitted to herself and to someone else that she actually does have strong feelings for David, my little shipper heart was just like, yes, 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 yes. My little silver heart was just like, yes, thank you. And I think Matt is team Delana. I think he's team Delana. I'm just saying. That's the little, yeah. So back at the Salvador house, Stefan finds a confession from Samantha Gilbert, and the journal that they find in the journal that Matt takes from from Meredith's house is actually Samantha Gilbert's journal, not Jonathan Gilbert's journal. So Stefan finds the confession is that it's basically Samantha confessed to the murders that happened back in 1912, and that is rather interesting to Damon because he thought that he killed her. So that's when they realized, like, well, okay, she is not a vampire, obviously, and also since she's a Gilbert, she has one of those rings that the Gilberts have, you know, that are passed down to each Gilbert. So the ring obviously wouldn't protect her from age. She would still die. Obviously, it would protect her from supernatural death, but age, you can't help that with that ring. So what's going on? And at the same time, Elena's reading the journal and she's trying to figure out if they're, you know, just reading the journal, and then Meredith shows up after Alaric has been released from the police department thing, and she explains to him that all these murders have been done with his weapons, and, you know, basically saying that, asking him, have you had lapses of memory, and which he has. And then she says, this has happened before, back in like 100 years ago, this has happened. And you know, and she states, like, you have a ring that protects you from dying. How many times can you die without it before it starts to change you? And that's when it kind of clicks in your head, like, oh my god, it's a ring. you know. And then my thought immediately after that is, oh my god, what the hell is going on with Jeremy in Arizona? He's in Arizona, right? He has that ring too. Like, he's, you know, died too. What the hell is going on with Jeremy back there? Like, is he killing people there too? Like, what is going on with Jeremy as well? You know. So what the hell is in that ring? You know, there is something bad in that ring that is making people, making Alaric kill people. And the thing that I'm, like, I was completely blown away by that. I did not expect that at all. I basically just went on the assumption that it's a vampire compelling people to kill people, which is a very not interesting storyline, as you can tell, because that has happened before. And, you know, vampires compelling other people isn't out of the norm for this show. But I was really surprised with the whole ring, the fact that it's Alaric killing people. And I like that aspect, that I feel bad for Alaric. I'm like, oh, why Alaric? Why does he have to be the murderer, you know? But of course it's not his fault. It's the ring. The ring is controlling him to do this. And I want to figure out what's in this ring. There's obviously something wrong with the ring. And then my immediate what I would do after being told that, hey, the ring that you're wearing is making you kill people, I would immediately take the ring off and be like, I'm not wearing this ring ever again until we figure out what the hell is wrong with me. There's obviously something going on here. And take the ring off and ow, that hurt. So yeah, that's basically the episode. So, please tell me in the comments below your thoughts of this episode. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Did you think it was a filler? I honestly, like I said in the beginning of the video, I thought it was like a filler and it was just kind of spruced up with a flashback. What are your thoughts and opinions on Sage? Now, a lot of people have told me that they don't like Sage, or they're just worried about Sage and Sage this, Sage that. Even before the episode came out, and I didn't understand why people hated her. And I'm like, dude, we've never even met her, so why do you hate her so much? And I don't hate her. I mean, we didn't see her too much this episode, even though they like put up a lot of like stuff about it, and she wasn't really in it that much. I don't hate her, obviously, because she didn't give me a reason to hate her. She hasn't given me a reason to hate her yet, so I don't hate her. I am suspicious about her. I am interested to find out more about her. So what are your opinions on Sage? What are your opinions on Alaric and the ring? What do you think is going on with that ring? Why do you think the ring is doing this? And comment with anything else you can think of, or if you have any questions for me about this episode or any episode or any season. I'm thinking of doing a Vampire Diaries question Q&A video in the next couple days, maybe week, depending on how many questions I get. So please put your questions down there in the box, not in the box drawer, in the comments, or you can send them to me on Tumblr and I will gladly answer them in a video. So please comment, rate, or actually thumbs up, and hope you guys enjoy this video, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.